So why did I think about mission? Well, I've been thinking about mission for a while, but let me tell you about a key turning point. I was sitting in church one day and the service had finished. I had a little bit of time to kill before my next thing that I had to do. And so I thought, oh, well, why don't I finish reading this part of Matthew's Gospel that I was up to? So I got my Bible out. I was just finishing off the end of Matthew. And I got to the last part of Matthew 28, where Jesus talks about the Great Commission and where he tells his followers to go into the world and to make disciples of all nations. And I'd read that thing so many times before, but this time it really did feel different. I felt like I was standing before God and that he was reading it out. And I felt terrible. I felt that God has this plan to reach everyone everywhere, and yet my life, I couldn't see how it was part of that. And to be telling you the truth, when I looked over my diary of all the things that I had to do, I saw that I was doing all kinds of Christian things, like I was doing a youth group, I was doing Sunday school, I was working at a ministry, doing international student stuff. But I thought, oh Lord, if your plan was to reach everyone, does it really make sense for me to be staying where I am? And at that time, it was like two different pictures came to my mind. And the first picture was of a farmer who had all these seeds, and he had 10 fields, but he was throwing all of the seeds just into the first field. And I thought, that doesn't sound like a very good way of doing farming. I mean, I'm no farmer, but surely there's a better strategy than that. And then the second picture was of these people playing a board game called Risk, where the goal is to take over the whole world. And someone in my family, they had the same strategy. They always put all their armies in Australia, and then they'd send those armies out through the world, and they'd almost always win. But in this case, I saw someone and they'd put all their armies in Australia, and then they just left them there. And I thought, oh, that's not a very good way of playing Risk. If you want to play Risk, you have to get your armies to leave Australia and go somewhere else. And so I felt like God was telling me that his desire was for all people to know him, and that it doesn't make sense for believers to just stay where there's already a lot of believers, when there's places where people have never heard the gospel. So I decided that I wanted to give my life to being part of God's proclamation of Jesus throughout the world.